This is mainly for people that want to know about guns, get a little bit safer with guns, but it's also for all my students out there that feel like a newborn baby with all the information I just dumped in their head. So this is going to be part 2 of that series, and any information that you might agree with, disagree with, whatever, go ahead and leave a comment down below. The whole idea is to make us all better. So if you have a better way of doing what I'm talking about, please let me know. I'll test it and we'll throw it out onto the range, record it, and see what the results are. I'm always open to learning, and so should you. With that said, let's go ahead and roll that beautiful bean footage. Place that I go for everything is Brownells. Go ahead and go on to Brownells. A lot of stuff that I'm going to be using today you can get from Brownells, so go ahead and get on Brownells, save some money with this code, and let's get into it. Okay, so let's talk about the second part, and that is going to be grip. When I grip the gun, it's very important because the better my grip and stance, the better I can get shots on target and have that gun come right back to where it was. So reset back to where it was so that I can get that next shot off quicker, okay? Step 1 is you want to get up as high as you possibly can on that part right there, which we call the tang. Some people call it a beaver tail, but we call it the tang, okay? If I have a gap, what's going to happen is as that gun runs, it's going to be able to move more. So if I get up high, it immediately hits my hand. Now what I want is I have D's Gaines' ghost sights on there. That's why you can't see them. But I want the front sight, rear sight, and my forearm all in alignment. Okay? That's wrong. That's right. All right. So I want to get up nice and high on the gun, but this is something I see people do a lot. And once I teach them this other technique, generally it helps them. Unless they just have small hands and are small framed and they really got to grab onto this thing. What I see people do all the time is when they grab this gun, they grab the gun like they're trying to choke the shit out of somebody, right? They get on both hands and Hulk smash. You don't have to do that with a 9mm 380, especially a 22. You don't have to do that. We just think we have to do that. And why do we think we have to do that? Because we think this gun is going to flip out of our hands if we don't, but that's not the fact. Okay, what I do before any of my students shoot, the first time I go on the range, I'm a left-handed shooter, right? And what I'll do is I'll show them that they don't have to grab so tight by taking that gun and throwing it into my right hand. Now it's in my right hand. I'm only going to use my right hand, so I'm using weak side, one-handed. It doesn't matter if it's strong side or weak side. One-handed shooting is never going to be as stable as two. So this is just to prove a point. I make it worse and I take 3 fingers off. So I'm only holding the gun with my thumb and index finger. And I will get on target and I will pull that trigger and that gun will go off. It will hit the target and it will not flip out of my hands. Well, how is that possible? Only holding 2 fingers, because we think it's going to and it really isn't. Will it jump? Will it go up? Yes, it will. But will it fly out of my hands? No, it won't. So if I can fire the gun with just 2 fingers and it stays in my hand because I'm not wrapping my hand around it, why the hell do I need a Hulk smash with 2 hands? I don't. I just think I do. Okay? What I generally tell people, now, like I said, this is general. There's always exceptions to the rules, and I will modify as we go along. If I see it's not working for you, there's other ways that I can teach you. This is just general, okay? That's what makes you a good instructor or not, is can you adapt to people, right? I had a guy come in, and he had only half of one of his hands, and I still was able to get him to do what I wanted him to do, okay? So when I grab the gun, and I get it in my hand properly, when I wrap these fingers, I only grab the gun with the tension that I would a toddler's hand. Okay, I want to know that toddler's hand's in my hand, but I'm not trying to crush their hand. So, that's how I hold the gun. Okay, the way that we're going to really keep it in our hands actually has nothing to do with our hands. Does, but doesn't. Okay, now I need to get this other hand, my support hand, and I need to get as much surface area covered with skin as possible. What I see a lot of people do is they'll keep their thumb down, then they'll put their other hand on like this, but if you notice, there is a gap, okay? So I don't have skin contact. That's not cool. All right, so thumb is up, right? A lot of times they'll teach slide this hand back just like this. Okay, this will work. That will work. It is much better than this, but it will work. But if you notice, the tip of my thumb is up here and the rest of my thumb kind of slopes down. The way I prefer to do it is I take that hand and I rotate until my entire thumb is up there. Notice the difference. My entire thumb is parallel with not only the ground, but the slide. Couple reasons why we do that. One reason is it puts a little bit more resistance on my wrist so it doesn't flex as much. Another reason is as that gun tries to go up, I can put pressure on these thumbs and it brings it right back down. Again, the faster I get back on target, the faster I can send that next round. The last reason why we do it is because most people will point at eye level. Well, we are using our thumb to point. So now if I want to, I can go from one target area to another pretty quickly because I'm using that thumb and hand-eye coordination to guide me along the way. Got it? Awesome. If this doesn't work for you, just modify that a little bit. If you have wrist issues or something like that, modify it a little bit or send me a comment below and I'll see what I can do to help you. All right, so how do I keep the gun really in my hand because I'm not grabbing tight? And that is my elbows. Another reason why we don't want to grip tight with that hand as much as possible is because you start tensing up the muscle group. That makes it very hard to isolate the trigger finger from the rest of the fingers. So when I tense up, all the fingers want to move at the same time. I don't want that. So I don't grip up too tight on that hand. My elbows are going to keep this gun in my hand. How is it going to do that? Well, if I have my elbows down, when that recoil travels to the elbow, it's going to make elbows do what elbows do. Bend. Okay? What I do is I take those elbows and I roll them out. Now, this going all the way 90 degrees out isn't for everybody. Some people prefer the 45, and that's fine too. It kind of works the same. The whole idea is roll the elbows some. All right? Here's why. When I roll those elbows, when I go full 90, those elbows still aren't locked, right? There's a slight bend in them. But now when the gun goes off, instead of going up, the elbow's still going to bend, but it bends in, and I'm using my arms and shoulders to work as a shock absorber. Okay? Here's the other cool thing about rolling those elbows. If my elbows are down and there's no fingers on the gun, if my elbows are down when I shake this gun, the muzzle is just going to move everywhere. Okay? Almost dropped it. If I take those elbows and I roll them out, I've literally just pinched that gun in my hands. And notice they're not even 90 degrees right now. Okay, so what it does is, not only does it help with the recoil by having our arms work as a shock absorber, but it also pinches that gun in using our arms and hands as a vise. So that helps not tense up those fingers. I have relaxed fingers so I can isolate that trigger finger from the rest of them, but keep the gun in my hand because I don't want it to move a whole lot so that I can get back on target very quickly, and that's how you do it. On to the next step, sight alignment, sight picture, and sights in general.